Hi guys, this is Maheen. Today we're going to do a music panel, and I'm truly honored and excited to have Kashmir, the band, with us. They are the winners of Pepsi Battle of the Bands of 2017. And for your reference, Tessa, Pepsi Battle of the Bands is kind of like the equivalent of The Voice. So it's a huge mega production. We have Vais Khan, who is the lead guitarist. Hi, Vais.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good. And we have Shane Anthony, who is the drummer.
Hello, hi guys, how are you?
And of course, we have the very own Tessa Hoyos, who is now a reporter who covers beats of wellness, business, and fashion in Maheen The Globe. So before we really dive into the music thing, I thought we would talk a little about what's happening around the world because it's affecting all of us, and to be just engaged and informed global citizens. So today is June 19th, which is known as Juneteenth in America. It is marks at the end of slavery and emancipation of slaves in the United States. It's the oldest nationally celebrated commemoration of end of slavery. And just a backdrop about it, that it started first on June 19th, 1865, and it originated in Galveston, Texas. And there are lots of marches taking place all over Seattle. In my neighborhood, in Ballard, there's a march. And in Central District, which is like the oldest Black community of Seattle. And lots of corporations are also acknowledging it, Amazon being one of them. They're telling their employees to cancel all the meetings and educate themselves about Black history. So that's like something I thought I'd mention. Along with that, MLK Labor Council, this is a Seattle news, MLK Labor Council passed a resolution affirming that racism is a structural problem in society, and there should be laws that should abide by this and acknowledge it. Another fun news about Amazon, because you two are from Karachi, I thought you'd find this interesting this morning. It came in Express Tribune. It was that Pakistan registers sellers from Amazon, and an initial list of 38 people have already registered. So having a presence of Amazon in Pakistan, I thought was really interesting. So that's just a bit of news, and let's get into the music. I want to first have you guys talk about your win in Pepsi Battle of the Bands, because this is something that I'm kind of orienting and Tessa with about you guys and what you all do, your history. So I can start with Ves.
Okay, so starting from the beginning of Pepsi Battle Bands, I remember the story which involves Shane and Bilal. I came back from Quetta when Usman gave me a call that we are going. The next day is the audition, and we have to be there. And Shane, me and Usman are going reaching the studio, and I can see Shane and Bilal just their heads are down and they're just talking, right? And me and Usman just came, and Shane is like, we shouldn't perform in Pepsi Battle of Bands. I'm like, what? He's like, dude, it's rigged. It's gonna be this, and I don't know. We were all scared, but Pepsi Battle of Bands was a very good exposure for us. We had no idea that we're gonna go there and win, to be honest with you, because in the first episode we were like, hey, we have to just pass the auditions level so that we get to the top 8, and then we'll see what happens from there. And it was a nerve-wracking situation throughout the whole competition. Especially me, I'm forgetting my parts and word, and from like 5 minutes before the performance, I'm like what are the parts of my guitar and stuff. But it was a very good experience, and which obviously changed our lives for the better, I think. And we are pursuing music, which we all love. So and Pepsi, and over there also the judges were very kind to us, and kind in the sense that they would always come and they would help us in different situation. I remember episode 5 or 6, Shane, Buddha Baba, when we performed Buddha
I
Baba.
love that song.
I forgot the episode, and after we performed, right, we got mixed reviews from the judges. And I remember me and Bilal were outside the stage, where outside the uh, area
The
where we
venue,
would
right?
perform.
Yeah.
Yes, we were outside, and Ataslam just came to us randomly, and he's like, how was the performance? What do you think? And me and Bilal like, I don't know, what should we say? Like, we are quite embarrassed about it because we got mixed reviews. He's like, it's fine. It's this type of stuff happens. I think you should just focus on your next performance. And that really helped us along the way, because they were so helping us in every single way.
Fantastic. And we saw your program. I mean, I voted from you from Seattle, and I had my
Thank
husband watch
you.
all the episodes, and we voted. So I feel like I have a part to play in your win too.
Yes,
For
yes, you
sure,
are.
for sure.
Thank you so much for the vote. Every vote counts, honestly.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Shane, tell us your experience.
So as Wes said, like I really didn't want to take part in the competition, but I think when we got there, it was just even more intimidating than first because there were so many talented musicians. Honestly, like I felt like I was the least talented person in the lot over there, and I had no hopes of going further, especially after our audition round.
Yeah.
But Bilal just did something out of the blue that was insane, and
Oh yeah.
What was
yeah,
it? Tell me.
no,
What did you do?
I think Bilal might have to tell you himself, but it was something that we never expected from Bilal. But I think at that point in time, he made a decision that kind of changed our lives, you can say. And we got through the audition rounds, and it was just an insane journey of ups and downs from there. But I'm really glad that we did win, and as Wes said, it changed our lives for the better. But at the same time, we still, for some reason, I just feel like whenever we're together making music, it's still the same how we were before Pepsi Battle of the Bands. Apart from now, when we have concerts, we kind of put in more effort, we're punctual, we make sure we practice really hard.
Yeah.
But other than that, when we're making new music, is the process is always the same. So that's really good.
Yeah, and I was just telling Tessa this, that, like you guys are like the most humble and grounded musicians. That's why it's so easy to work with you all, and you're very like professional, and I love that.
Thank you.
So yeah, so I think now we can just move on to our musical taste and our influences we listening to. And I can start with me. I'm like 80s kid. I'm a millennial. So I listen to a lot of like Led Zeppelin, Nirvana. I listen to Chains, Foo Fighters. What else? What else? Gorilla. I don't know if you've heard them. Some of my influences
Oh,
from
I love
from
the
my brother.
Gorillas. Yeah.
Yeah. Gaudier. And in pop, I would say like Lady Gaga, I just love her journey and evolution as an artist. She's fearless and she's unapologetically herself. And Beyonce, I get dance goals from her. I'm a dancer, so I love her. So Tessa, I can start with you.
Awesome.
Why don't you first mention, like, let us know what your musical influences are and like stuff that you listen to.
Yeah, so when I was growing up, my mom used to play No Doubt in the car, and that was the first band I ever remember listening to at like 4 or 5 years old. And I've been listening to them for like 16 years now. I'm 21.
Nice.
And, it still hasn't changed. Of course, they've evolved into different artists and they've grown, but I still really love their older stuff, and they really laid the foundation for like that 90s rock. And I also listen to Arctic Monkeys. They're my current favorite band. And I started listening to them in high school, and they kind of did the same thing that No Doubt did for me at 4 and 5. It just kind of awoken something in me like, wow, this I can really connect to, and there's not one song that I don't like. So
Nice, nice. And Gwen
Nice.
Stefani gives us fashion goals. She can dress and look amazing, even with things like that now. Fantastic. Well, I can ask you now.
Yeah. I think when I started getting into music, the first few bands that I actually remember that influenced me a lot were Guns N' Roses, Led Zeppelin, AC/DC, and these are some of the few bands. Basically, your hard rock, your classic rock was the main influence for me. And that's where I got the interest in the guitar. And for some reason, when I would be listening to any song, for some reason I would always be going towards the sound of the guitar. I don't know why, because I was so into it, the sound that it produces. And at one time I was confused what a bass guitar does and what an electric guitar does. So I was always confused between these two. At that time I was a very, you can call it noob player or something like that. But these are one of the few influential bands that I would name.
And I'm just curious to know, when did you start playing the guitar?
I started playing the guitar when I was 18 or 19 years old, when I shifted to Karachi for the first time with my family. So I took different lessons for about 4 months at an institute called Kappa. And there I met my guitar teacher, Jeremy Canvas, and he basically laid the foundation for the whole guitar and music. I think that's one of the main reasons. I still thank him till this day, that I'm like, thank you, sir, for being patient with me and
Yeah.
teaching me all your tricks and the guitar
Yeah.
techniques. And then after that, then I started using like YouTube and different DVDs from the net, instructional videos from Paul Gilbert, Dream Theater's John Petrucci, and that helped me a lot, and it's still helping me right now. So it's an
Fantastic.
ongoing journey.
Awesome. And I just want to mention that he's joining us from Quetta. It's a city we haven't covered yet. So I'm so glad we have a Quetta representation today. Awesome. And so Shane, please let us know about your musical influences.
So my dad uh, kind of got me into music because he listened to a lot of hard rock. Like he used to listen to Black Sabbath and stuff. But
Oh,
growing up, I got into heavy metal like pretty quickly. My cousins used to listen to like Metallica, Iron Maiden, all that stuff. So I got into that. But the band that kind of made me want to play drums was Noori, actually. And even though I didn't listen to a lot of Pakistani bands, Noori was the band I saw live for the first time, I think. And I was blown away. And I wanted a drum kit the next day, although that didn't happen. But so these are like a gist of my influences, but my main influences came when I like in 2007, and this was when I got into indie music and I started listening to the Arctic Monkeys.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they're like one of my all-time favorite bands along with the 1975. So when I joined Kashmir, I was so influenced by them that most of my drumming was very indie, and sometimes I had to like kind of change and go back to my roots, which were like Alter Bridge and Creed, alternative rock. But as you can see in Kagas Ka Jahaz, I don't know if you listen to it, but it's very indie inspired, and the like excuse me, I can say uh, that's where my kind of like indie influences come into play. But yeah, I still listen to the Arctic Monkeys, but I like listening to new things. So there's a band called The Strokes. They have a new album out. They're really good as well. And like it's just insane because I keep discovering new acts. I listen to a lot of rap as well nowadays, and I keep learning. I keep taking like influence from all of these artists.
Fantastic. Yeah. And just for your reference, Tessa, so Noori is a band out of Pakistan. And, you know, there's this entire wave of musicians, and I can now tell you because I was like a journalist in 2002. So there's a wave of these amazing bands, these rock bands, Noori, EP, Call, Aro, all of them. And so this new crop that's coming up, they were influenced by them too, and they were inspired by them too. And I have a feeling, I mean, you guys can ask them, and we can ask them too. I think they were influenced by Seattle grunge because there's a lot of sound of Seattle grunge in EP sound,
yeah.
in Noori sound, and all of that. So that's been interesting. So Tessa's getting her education of Pakistani music through me. It's almost like a crash course. She knows most of your names, which I'm super impressed about. Tessa, I'm going to put you on the spot now and ask you which Pakistani song you've listened to since you started interning with Maheen The Globe that stuck with you, and why?
Yeah. First of all, I just have to say that Matt Helders of the Arctic Monkeys is probably one of the best drummers in music today. And I love the Strokes.
He's
But
insane. He's a beast.
he is, yeah, agile beast. Bari, your song has really stuck with me. I remember one of my first days interning at
Thank
Maheen the
you.
Globe. Maheen showed me that song, and while I didn't understand the lyrics because it was in Urdu and I don't speak Urdu, um, it just really stuck with me, the message, once she translated it for me. And it was really deep and hard hitting, and it was just beautiful. It reminded me a lot of Led Zeppelin.
Stairway
Oh,
to Heaven.
that's a very high compliment
I think
right
Bilal would
there.
really appreciate that as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I
I'll
have
have
a
to tell.
story to tell. Okay, so after watching it, Tessa and I had a moment, and we both, for the first time, talked about our personal mental health journey with each other, shed a few tears, and then we decided that we're going to do these wellness panels that are going to cover mental health. And then we had Bilal join in. We were just like talking about some stuff we'll do with him later on. And we told him this in person. We were like, we just want to thank you for the song that you wrote for your sister, because it had a big impact on me and Tessa, and how we are including mental health and mental wellness as a beat of our media company. So that's the power of songwriters. And that's why I think songwriters and music producers and musicians should always be revered and respected and supported in any way at all. And that's what we plan on doing with Maheen The Globe. So thanks for that song, and thanks for all the soulful music you guys are producing. So now I just want to talk about the COVID situation, which is affecting everyone around the world. It's a global issue. And Vais, how are you feeling about it?
Oh, it's in one word, is a disaster. What's happening to the world right now? Because with the COVID-19 spreading all over the world, and then you see different scenarios taking place, which is not affecting a lot of people in a good way. So it's quite a sad time we're living right now. But on the bright side, I have more time for my guitar and music, and I'm practicing more and more, learning new techniques and whatnot. And it's quite difficult, to be honest with you, staying home, not going out, being like washing your hands, the cleanliness should be there. It's a tough time for everyone. I hope we get through this, and I'm hoping for a better future right now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, thanks for your honesty. I mean, it's been a tough time for us too, me and my husband and my 2-year-old. I was just telling you before the recording started that
Yes.
for us to not leave the house for 2.5 months straight, we just went out once for a hike. I mean, we love traveling, we love going out. So it's been really strange. And our hesitance is that not people around us are following the rules. Many people are out there without masks, without practicing social distance, and they're not being responsible, community citizens or residents, whatever you want to call it. So it's been tough. Shane, how are you feeling?
I feel like that's one of the things that frustrates me, is just people not following certain rules or procedures as you may, but at the same time, I'm just taking the necessary precautions. I'm not going out much. We have a concert coming up, which is going to be online. So I'm just going out to practice for that. And I'm getting back home. But yeah, I can imagine how it is for some people who aren't even getting that right. Like my family members aren't going out. And I'm sure it's really difficult on everyone just staying confined in your own home. But I think for me personally, it's not been as difficult because I didn't get this time before. So I think you came to interview us as well at our studio, and that would be where we spend most of our days. And yeah, it was quite insane. And to have this personal time to myself, I can reflect on a lot of things. I can work on myself and things that I hadn't before. So I'm taking it positively, but at the same time, there are some days where I feel like I need this to end. Obviously, it's going to take some time.
Right. Tessa, how are you feeling? So she's in a city called Mill Creek in the greater Seattle area.
It's really difficult. It's been difficult for the past couple months, and it's really heartbreaking to see all of these cases popping up. And, I feel like the protests happening in Seattle aren't helping, and people aren't following social distancing. So it's just going to be this vicious cycle. We're going to have to stay inside longer because somebody decided to go out and do whatever. And it's tough for everyone. I can empathize because I'm stuck in my house with my parents. I just came home from university for spring break, and then all of a sudden the state was in lockdown. So I've been in here for the past 2 months, and it's been a relearning experience. I feel like I'm in high school again. It's difficult, but I can't see anyone, and me and my family are just all kind of going crazy.
Yeah, and it's been frustrating because, like, we can't work together. Make a comparison of the judge's voice. If you guys watch, which judge is similar in their judgments as a judge from The Voice? So I can see Wes is really thinking.
Judges in The Voice, I forgot.
I think I remember Pharrell being one of them. But
Right, so let me tell you the lineup of the current judges, okay? And I can name some old ones too. So there's Gwen Stefani, there's Blake Shelton,
Mhm.
there's John Legend, there's all right, these are the ones that I remember. And yeah, of
Adam
course, Adam
Levine.
Levine. He was there for the longest
Adam
time.
Levine,
Jonas
yeah.
just joined. Nick Jonas, my
Really?
favorite
Okay.
Jonas.
I had no
joined.
idea about that.
Neither
Wow,
did
nice.
I.
Yeah.
So I
We need-
think Pepsi Waldemans is somewhat inspired by The Voice because their formatting is a little similar, but they're different. They're different. All right, so maybe I can ask you, who's your favorite judge first, Wes?
Atir Aslam, hands down. Yeah.
Why?
For first of all, he helped us in different situations. He motivated us. He was always that guy in the set who would actually support you, even though you have performed badly.
Yeah.
Like, like I shouldn't even emphasize on that. But I think Atir Aslam was by far the best judge, and he was very, he was very genuine throughout the whole set. He wasn't. I believe he wasn't faking anything. He wasn't being a fake person or anything, which a lot of people in TV. And he was just there. He was being himself, and which
I
I
love that
love.
you said that.
Honestly.
So I went to Lums, and Atif Aslam kind of started his career in Lums concerts and all of that. He's really stuck with me. He's a very genuine and cool artist, and his music is a reflection of that. And he's also been through a journey. Like he started like rough, and then he just kept going. So I love his tenacity. Shane, what would you say?
I think for me as well is South of Aslam. And so I'll tell you a story. So like our first day on set, they had all these security guards and bouncers and everything. So I asked one of them, when are we going on stage? So he was like, oh, Atif Aslam is just around the corner. He's coming in. Once he sits down, we'll have you guys go on stage and everything. And then he just happened to say like, oh, he's not that great a person. I was like thinking, well, that's kind of odd to say to someone you just met, right? But eventually, like through our whole season, interacting with him, he seems super down to earth. Surprisingly, like he called us backstage to his room, and I mean, he didn't have to do that, and he came outside and chilled with us as well, and just like spoke to us about music in general. And then obviously after the Pepsi Battle of the Bands journey, we've met him on quite a few occasions. So like Lux Style Awards, and then we met him at concerts where we played before him. And he just always came down, had a talk with us, told us about his journey, told us how we can get better, what we're not doing right, what we are doing right.
Love
And
it.
he's guided us, right? And I think that's something really huge. And if I talk about Atif Aslam, I know I'm going off topic, but I feel the same way about Zulfi Bhai.
I
I
agree.
feel like
Yes.
he doesn't have to do all the things he's doing to encourage young musicians, but because he's doing that, it makes such a huge difference. And I feel like even if we let him know how big a difference he's making, it's going to be less because he's had such a huge impact on us young
I
musicians.
agree with you. You got a really good point. I realized this, like following my way through showbiz too, that I judge people based on how they interact with me and what my interaction is, and not really listen to what people say because there's gossip
Yeah.
everywhere, right?
Exactly,
So it's good to know about
exactly.
Atif Aslam, and I really hope that he makes a comeback to Pepsi Waldemans as a guest judge. He was my favorite too. I loved his judgments on quite a few things. All right, so but you guys still didn't answer my question about which voice judge is a little
True.
similar.
This is gonna be hard
All right, and ask
because
Tessa. Tessa, do
I
you watch The Voice? Do you have any favorite judges?
I
Obviously,
I
Gwen
think
Stefani.
okay. Let Tessa
Gwen
answer.
Stefani, right? Hands
Yeah,
down. I
Gwen
No,
agree.
Stefani is my favorite in like everything.
I just love like Gwen Stefani's interaction with Blake Sheldon because they're like going out and it's like such a funny combination. Like he's a total country guy and she's like a LA girl. So it's so funny to see them together. It's really cute.
But they're happy, so good for them.
uh,
I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if I had to compare Atif Aslam to someone, I'd compare him to Blake Sheldon because from what I've seen of The Voice is I feel like but Atif Aslam knows a lot about music. It's quite insane. Like I didn't imagine him to know so much about bands and just music, and he's amazing at the guitar as well. Like people don't get to see that
Yeah.
side of him, right? Because we all know him as a superstar singer, like, but he knows it down to the music that he sings
Right.
that he sings too, right? And I think it's the same with Blake Shelton. Like whenever I've seen him judge someone, he notices every point, and I think that's what Atif Aslam is. He just knows his stuff down
Correct.
to the core.
Ves, any answers yet?
I want to say I'll go with Shane's answer, but that would be cheating. Honestly speaking, I have watched The Voice, but not to a great extent, to be honest with you. Sorry, everyone who's a fan of Voice. Sorry about that. But right now, with the information on my plate, I'll say Atis. You can't compare Atis Aslam. Easy way
Right.
out there to go there.
Yeah. So I'll just say one thing about The Voice. I used to love it at first, but I feel like the quality's gone down and the artists they bring in have gone down. The commercial value has gone up. So I've seen the program change in a weird way. And that's why the ratings have gone down too, frankly.
I mean,
Yeah.
I thought the ratings had gone down because they don't show it here anymore. So I would imagine if it.
Yeah, no,
quite
yeah, they've
weird,
gone
though.
down. And that's the thing. I think judges play a key part in making
Yeah.
artists. And if you don't have a good quality judges, you'll see viewership going down and the quality of the artists going down. So
So one of the main reasons as to why a lot of people liked Buddha Baba was because after Pepsi Battle of the Bands, like after the episode, they had this kind of teaser thing where the judges said which songs they liked, and Atif Aslam said Buddha Baba grew onto him.
Yeah.
So
that,
because of that, a lot of people actually perceive that song in a different way, and it means a lot to them as well now.
yeah.
So that just shows you how important judges are.
Yes. And so, Tessa, our assignment for today is to listen to Buddha Baba. And I'll tell you what it means. It would be awesome if we could get subtitles. So easier for me. Otherwise, I'm like literally translating on my own. And sometimes the translations are hilarious. So,
I think
well,
we need to
guys.
work on it.
Yeah. You can take it on at some time, no pressure. But thank you so much for your time. It's an honor
Thank
to
you for
have
having
you
us.
on.
Thank you for
thank
having
you.
us. No, it's an honor for us, to be honest with you.
I
Had a
just want
great
to
time.
say something. I just want to say that I'm really glad you're doing this because I think it's such a cool idea to get different musicians from different countries to like interact this way. So we do interact with musicians like who are our friends and live in different countries, but it's never this way, and it's never talking to the public about our interactions and how we just discuss music. And I think it's really awesome.
Thank you so
props
much.
to you.
Thank you. The intent is to
Nice.
just have different people like from the world as musicians exchange ideas and be a mentor-mentee program. Because when I went to Pakistan, I saw a huge gap that there was no such thing happening. There were no networking events that happen in America all the time. And I wondered why. Not in fashion and not in music. And I was like, we're going to kill the artists and our artistry if we don't have them give that kind of exposure. So that's our plan. And hopefully it's a year-long series and let's see how it does. We don't care about our ratings and viewings as long as I'm able to connect the two of you to a good artist in Seattle and you get to just talk about Seattle grunge. Like how cool is that?
That's awesome.
That's awesome, honestly. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. Take care. Have an amazing
Thank
weekend.
you. Thank you.
Stay safe.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.